The Silent Castle. The castle loomed under the endless gray sky, its tall spires and marble walls soaked in cold mist. Inside, it wasn't knights or kings who ruled, but women of wealth and privilege, dressed in shimmering silk and perfumed with rare oils. And sitting among them was Vin Diesel. He wasn't there to be their lover or their champion. No. Vin Diesel came to this place seeking nothing but silence and wine. He sat by the grand fireplace, a goblet of dark red wine in hand, eyes half closed, deaf to the sweet voices calling out to him. For them, he was a prize, a beast to tame. For him, they were nothing but fleeting whispers in a life full of battles. He didn't belong to anyone, especially not here. The girl in the shadows. Among the rich women floated a small figure, Elara. She was young, with soft, hopeful eyes, dressed in plain gray cotton, her hair braided simply. A maid, nothing more. Her job was to clean the halls, polish the silver, and stay invisible. The noblewomen mocked her endlessly, calling her the rat, the ghost, the nothing. One evening, as Elara silently swept the floor near the grand hall, a heavy goblet slipped from a lady's hand and rolled across the floor, landing by Vin Diesel's boot. The women laughed. "Fetch it, rat!" one of them sneered. Elara bent down, trembling, reaching for it. But before her fingers touched the metal, a heavy boot pinned the goblet to the ground. She looked up, straight into Vin Diesel's eyes. He said nothing. He simply bent down, picked up the goblet himself, and handed it to her. The hall fell into a stunned silence. For the first time, someone had chosen her. The shield. From that night onward, things changed. Whenever Elara was near Vin Diesel, none dared to harm her. When someone shouted, he would only raise an eyebrow, and they would fall silent. When someone tried to push her aside, his towering presence would make them shrink back. He was her silent shield. But Vin Diesel didn't speak to her. Not a word. Not until one rainy afternoon, when he found her sobbing behind the kitchen, bruises hidden under her sleeves. He knelt down beside her, offered a battered leather flask, and said in a low voice, "Don't let them break you. They laugh because they're afraid of anything pure, anything real." It was only a few words, but to Elara, it was enough to ignite something deep inside her, the plot to break him. The noblewomen soon grew furious. How dare a servant girl hold his attention, even for a moment? They devised a plan to humiliate Elara and to break Vin Diesel once and for all. During the grand masquerade ball, they accidentally tripped her in front of the entire hall. Wine spilled, dresses were stained, whispers turned to cruel laughter. Elara crumpled to the floor, face burning with shame. She waited for the punishment, the insults, but footsteps echoed across the marble floor. A heavy, steady stride. Vin Diesel. He walked straight past the noblewomen, lifted Elara up by the hand, and placed her behind him. Facing the stunned crowd, he said, voice low but thunderous, "You dress like queens, but your hearts are smaller than dust." Not another word was spoken that night. Vin Diesel turned, and Elara followed him, through the gasps, through the icy stairs, out of the hall. The chains fall. The castle had once been a refuge for Vin Diesel, a place to drown his memories. but now it felt like a prison. He couldn't stay, not after what he had seen. One night, as the clock struck midnight, he took Alara by the hand. No words, no promises, only a shared glance, full of understanding. They escaped through the servants' corridor, past the kitchens, down the hidden stairs behind the wine cellars. The world outside was wild and vast. The cold night air smelled of pine and freedom. Behind them, the castle loomed like a dying god. Born from ashes. They found shelter in an abandoned cabin by the river. There, among broken walls and creaking floors, Vin Diesel and Alara began to rebuild something invisible but precious: hope. Vin chopped wood. Alara learned to trap fish. They laughed, awkward at first, but growing stronger each day. For the first time, Alara didn't have to bow her head. And Vin Diesel, he smiled, truly smiled, for the first time in years. They were no longer a servant and a silent warrior. They were survivors. They were free. Freedom. One evening as they sat by the fire, Alara said, "Why did you help me?" Vin Diesel looked into the flames. His voice was rough, like gravel stirred by the wind. "Because once, someone helped me when I had nothing. And because the strongest thing in this world is a heart that refuses to give up." The stars stretched endlessly above them, silent witnesses to two broken souls forging a new life from ashes. The castle of broken hearts, a chase in the night. The battered old truck roared down the muddy road, spitting up dirt under the pale moonlight. Vin Diesel gripped the wheel tight, eyes locked on the dark path ahead. Alara clung to the seat, her heart hammering in her chest. Behind them, headlights appeared, dozens of them. They wouldn't let go. The noblewomen had sent mercenaries, armed and ruthless, to drag Vin Diesel and Alara back like trophies. Vin Diesel smirked. "All right, let's play." He slammed the gas pedal. The truck howled like a beast unleashed. Engines roared behind them. The awakening of the hero Vin Diesel tossed Alara a helmet. "Put it on, hold tight," he ordered. She barely had time to strap it on before the truck swerved hard, narrowly missing the trees lining the road. Vin handled the vehicle like it was part of him, one hand on the wheel, the other ready for anything. A black SUV pulled alongside them. A thug leaned out the window, aiming a shotgun at them. Alara screamed, but Vin Diesel didn't panic. In a flash, he drew a small pistol from under the dashboard, fired once. Bang! The SUV veered off the road, flipped, and exploded in a shower of flames. Alara stared at him, wide-eyed. Who are you?" she gasped. Vin Diesel flashed a grim smile. "Just a guy who knows. The world doesn't need more bullies. It needs people willing to stand between them and the ones they pick on." So within. They lost the mercenaries after blowing up an old bridge behind them. Driving deep into the wildlands, they finally stopped by a quiet lake under a sky full of stars. Alara stepped out, toes sinking into the cool grass. Vin Diesel leaned against the hood, lighting a cigar. "Don't you ever get tired?" she asked. He exhaled a slow stream of smoke. "Yeah, but being tired isn't a good enough reason to quit." He looked at her then, really looked, seeing something bright and stubborn within her, something the world had tried to crush, but failed. Choosing a life by morning, they reached a sleepy seaside town. Stone-paved streets, old taverns, simple smiles. Vin Diesel rented a small house near the beach. He opened a modest bar, No chandeliers, no velvet curtains. Just laughter, old guitars, and strong whiskey. Alara worked there, not as a maid, not as a servant, but as a woman who owned her place in the world. Each night, misfits and wanderers came through the doors, and if anyone dared look down on them, Vin Diesel only had to stand up. No threats, no fists. His presence alone was enough. The final message. One stormy night, with the sea raging beyond the cliffs, Alara sat beside Vin Diesel, watching the fire crackle. "You saved me," she whispered. He shook his head. You saved yourself. I just reminded you that you were always worth saving." Alara smiled, tears glistening. In that small bar, in that forgotten town, hearts once shattered had begun to heal. Not with noise, not with crowns, but with quiet, stubborn hope. A hope that would never die.